It's an honor and a pleasure to be broadcasting to you live this evening, surrounded by a bloodthirsty crowd of 50,000 underhivers here on the crystalline icy shores of the Chrome Mastiffs Murder Ball Arena.
Yeah, Gobbo, the Mastiffs are facing off against longtime league rivals, the Neon Falcons, with tensions between longtime Falcons captain Alexei, the Axe Norcross, the former Falcons trapper, turned Mastiff captain Petra, the Ice Fox Corsic.
It's bound to be a bloody game, as rumor has it that the Ice Fox not only took the surprise trade to the Mastiffs late last season, but also turned her back on the Splatterhawks, with some saying that she's taken her skills to the freelance market.
It's a little risky. Let's see how that pays off. She's also moved from the trapper to the captain, a long-time career goal she was being trained for in the Falcons. It's an interesting team by strategy for the start of the season. Let's see how it pays off for the Mastiffs.
However this game plays out, we are sure to see some extra blood on the field, with the tempers and rivalries between these two teams pinging the Geiger counters off the charts. We are 665.66 UHMR Chemrat Radio, covering all of the action of tonight's game from the Falcons box seats. As always, I am your friendly neighborhood plasma fiend, Goblin King. I am joined today by my maniacal power sledge maniac, Marky.
Boo. Hi.
And back from his most recent trip out on the ices of Arconia itself is the crack shot of sub-level 69 himself, Kev. What do you think the odds are for the Mastiffs tonight, Kev, being that they're both your home team and they have home team advantage?
Well, like they say, there's no home like sweet home.
Alabama. Not that I know where that is.
It's some other hive. So as we move into the episode today, obviously we are getting into dropping a little bit more lore through our lore segments about Murder Ball. We've introduced a new team, the Chrome Mastiffs, which are the Auxilia's team. Figured it made a lot of sense. The Auxilia, being who they are, probably use Cyber Mastiffs. And why would you call them Cyber Mastiffs when you can complement all that chrome that they probably have plated all over their lethal bodies?
Shiny chrome.
Yeah. Hunt Eternal, shiny and chrome.
That's right. So today, before we jump into our main topic, I wanted to cover something that we kicked around a little bit during our Horror Obscurus pre-production meeting and kind of took off a little bit because I made a logo and it inspired talking. So we have added our own Ordo to the Inquisition. That is the Ordo Obscurus. The Ordo Obscurus is a minor branch of the Inquisition that operates in the Segmentum Obscurus specifically. They investigate, define, and eliminate, when needed, any oddities that are reported to them. While some might argue that the Ordo is irrelevant and should be part of one of the main three Ordos, due to the nature of the anomalous creatures and events that the Ordo tracks, they are often sent in to deal with rumors that can't be easily defined. From an apex predator, hitherto unknown, that seems to have invaded a Magos biologist taxonomy, to a glowing lump of radioactive slag that dominates a single room and is said to grant wishes, or a string of grisly murders that don't really match any cult or known Xenos behavior. While they operate with the same powers as the rest of the Inquisition, the Ordo Obscurus specializes in containment procedures and may also be brought in by other Inquisitors to secure an anomaly, especially when that anomaly does not easily fit into the current hierarchy of inquisitorial operations.
You know who that sounds like? That sounds like the Men in Black.
Exactly.
Men in Black.
I mean, it also sounds very much like we brought it up just recently, was the SCP Foundation.
It is, in fact.
I noticed that it was very much designed to be the SCP Foundation
SCP?
branch. Yeah.
SCP?
Secure, Contain, Protect. We will talk about them in our next...
We brought this up as it was a really, really, really deep pool of Spookie Dookies.
We'll get to it. Yeah.
It's with a bunch of meatballs.
Oh,
maniacal manicotti.
Man-sized meatballs.
I feel like at this point we almost have to pause and show him one so that he has a grasp on what we mean by strange things.
Let's get into it in a second. While many other Ordos might fill similar roles throughout the Imperium, the Ordos Obscurus operates almost exclusively in the Segmentum Obscurus. It is rumored that their inquisitorial palaces are all connected via a fractured but stabilized and isolated section of the webway. While several of the palaces and holdings are known of, it's suggested that based on the number of anomalies that they've been called in to secure and are on formal records, that their current holdings must be many times too small for what they contain. The Ordo Malleus has often shined its considerable attentions on the Ordo Obscurus, taking almost any perceived inconsistency to launch investigations into the Ordos and many of its agents. However, most of these investigations are stopped as the Ordo Obscurus' skills at containment and storage has tied them to many favors of many High Inquisitors throughout the galaxy. We have not decided yet where the Ordo Obscurus' main inquisitorial palaces are located, but they are in the Carcosan sector. They also probably have dealt with the famous Inquisitors, Eisenhorn, Ravener, and potential spoiler alert,
Xibalba.
Wherever Beckwin is going with her storyline. But yeah, the idea behind this is if you want to write creepypastas and spooky dookies that specifically take place in the Warhammer 40K universe, we wanted to kind of foster that because of the SCP Foundation. So Marky, the SCP Foundation is a creative creepypasta and spooky dookie writing project that was started, what, Kevin, like 20 years ago?
Honestly, I have no idea when it started. All I know is that it ended up on YouTube a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And it was just the biggest rabbit hole.
And
really?
A lot of them are really, really creepy. Did you watch
some of them are super creepy, and some of them are just really well put together.
Yeah.
And like are just great.
I
I watched all the good ones.
There's two videos that you should watch, Marky, and I linked them both.
Overlord
is say
the
maybe
good one.
like a week ago, but it's Overlord. What was the other one that they did before it called, where they go into the house? Overlord is the one where they go to the cult. That's the
they go to the cult,
compound.
and it's the one house. It's the one house in the middle of the woods, and then
right.
It's
What's the one where it's the house in like the middle of the street? It's the same director, but it's a house like in the middle of the street.
I don't think I've seen that one yet.
So there's a couple of them. You should watch them, Marky.
I saw the mountain, like where they go into the facility and it has the lake in it and stuff.
The mountain is the one that they did with one of the source
used,
engines, right?
Yeah, they used the source engine to make it. Yeah.
It's pretty good stuff.
And it's really well put together. So it's hard, honestly, like if you're watching it on your phone, you're like, how did they make this? Is this real? Because like I feel like some of the shots they might have used a different engine and just used models from source.
Is this like smut but for ore heads?
Yes.
It's not even that much like gore. It's more visceral to it. It's more like creepy in the mind.
It's a lot of
about
existential
like feeling.
Stuff.
It's about existential horror. It's like they go somewhere and they don't, and it's because
it's the worst kind of horror.
It's about basically the Imperial Guardsmen of this group of people.
Mm-hmm.
So they get sent in and they're like, okay, so standard containment mission. Hope nobody dies.
Yeah, basically.
And then they get there and they go in and there's nobody like to like investigate.
Is this 40K related or is this just generalized?
This is just super general.
Oh, okay.
But like the mountain one, they get there and there's nobody in this facility that they were supposed to like go investigate, and they just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah,
and they're like, "What the fuck is wrong here?"
And everything just untwists,
and everything feels wrong like the whole time, and everything's just spooky, but nothing happens. Like for most of it. And then they uncover the secret at the end. And they're like, "We need to fucking leave."
It's general.
It's almost like that twist that they have normally at the end of what's that big horror writer, Ryan?
Shyamalan.
No. Book writer.
Stephen King.
Stephen King. Yeah. Usually, how like his stories end, they kind of have like that twist that gives you the chill up your spine sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. There's always like it got worse.
Yeah.
Like they didn't escape. It got worse.
Yeah.
When the surface is peeled back and you realize that this wasn't some story set in like some remote location that's not possible. Yeah. It's set like in your neighbor's house.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We had talked a little bit about it in the community on our Discord, and we had talked a little bit about it internally as we do our Horror Obscurus episodes. I really liked the idea that there would be an investigation unit like that. And like most of the Inquisition probably looks down on these guys, but they know that they're needed. Because most of the Inquisition shows up, like, does their investigation and shoots somebody. You don't really, like, the guy who has to clean up, like the guy that shows up with the broom, you treat differently. And even though they're not like space janitors, they're not custodes.
Yeah. Well, like, think about it this way.
But they fill that role.
Giant semi-demon nasty thing.
Rock.
Yeah. Comes
where does it go?
What do you do with the body?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fire, obviously. But somebody's got to do it.
Right. And sometimes they're like, maybe we can't destroy this, so we hold on to it.
Yeah, somebody's got to lock it away. Somebody's got to, And when it's not clear, like you said, when it's not clearly a super chaos, super Xeno, or, I mean, really, that's the two real defining. It's just which chaos, human chaos or chaos.
You know, the things that I brought up were the idea of, like, a cryptid. There's an apex predator on this planet that the Magos biologist missed, and it's now causing issues. So, like, a Bigfoot. The second one I brought up, a glowing lump of radioactive slag that dominates a single room and is said to grant wishes. That was a urban legend about the elephant's foot, which is the giant radioactive slag that was created when Chernobyl melted down. So it's stuff that doesn't really match in with what the Inquisition does, but it's stuff that the Inquisition doesn't want the Guard to happen with.
Right. It would be it would be an inquisitorial strike force kind of thing.
Right. Exactly. So one of the things that I thought would be interesting, Kevin, I'm going to have to finish listening to the Magos and listen to the Ravener and the Beckwin stuff before I kind of feel out where I want to do this from. But I think it would be interesting if, like, Cherubael never got dealt with. And, like, at some point, somebody from the Ordo Obscurus was just like, oh, we need to lock that away. We need to lock it away and throw away the key and never talk to it. We need to
put that in a box.
It's in a box somewhere. Like, Eisenhorn just got to a point where he's like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Can you deal with it for me?
Here, hold this.
Spoilers, man.
Come on. The Eisenhorn books have been out for like 20 years, 15
man. I was getting there. I finished Xenos. I'm working on the other ones.
I'm on the fourth one, which is a collection of short stories, but it's and it feels like something where, you know, we've already done it. We did it with Katya and we did it with Zygonia, where we introduce characters that have, like, this like it's a micro story, it's a micro lore dump inside the universe. So if you guys want to write something that's just a little weird, here's a place to do it. Here's a template for a group that might have to deal with it.
Something actually Ravener Eisenhorn wise that would kind of fit in with this grouping of, like, Inquisitor stuff.
Half the books.
You remember the door?
Yes. Yeah, that was the type of shit that made me think of this. I'm like, holy fuck.
The door absolutely would be something that these people would, like, pick up and go put and lock in a dungeon somewhere and be like, nobody's fucking go through this door.
It's like the stairs which is an SCP. Like, so Marky, one of the things in SCP is that there is a staircase. And sometimes this staircase just appears in the middle of a field. And no matter how far down the staircase you go, and no matter how much provisions or, like, water you have, you never seem to actually get anywhere. But after you've gone down a certain number of levels, you start to see faces and people start to touch you and you start to hear giggling. But if you turn around and go back up, you only go up 1 or 2 flights and then you're out of the staircase. And, like, they sent Marines down. They sent Marines down the staircase for 19 hours without getting to the bottom. Like, it's shit like that.
That'll run a chill up your spine.
Yeah, I'll fuck with you.
Like, so, just a little bit.
But, like, that's not inherently, like, a chaos demon or anything weird. That's just weird is all it is. It's just weird.
That's gnarly.
Yeah. And how would the Inquisition deal with something like that? Would the Inquisition, like, they can't burn it. They can exterminatus the planet, but there's also all this crazy technology. So just have these guys come in and, like,
dig it up.
Yeah, dig it up.
Like, build a dome over the top of it. You know, things like that. Yeah.
They build a facility over the top of it.
There's just all of a sudden another inquisitorial palette. And I actually thought about it. So we were driving. We drove a couple of hours last night to see one of our favorite bands in a in a different city. And like you drive 2 hours in California and you're in a city the entire time, or you're very close to a city.
You've gone through multiple cities.
Yeah. You drive 2 hours in Iowa.
Corn.
There's fuck nothing. I mean, it's a lot of farmland. And I was 100% thinking about that. Like one of the things that's interesting and compelling about telling stories of like Inquisitors is you get that slice of life stuff. But so many of the stories deal with like shit in Hive cities. How fucking freaky would it be if the Inquisition had to go deal with like, there's a farmhouse on this Imperial world and nobody wants to go to it. Some dude in the Inquisition has to go figure that shit out. And like, what is the Inquisition's end goal going to be? They're either going to burn it down. If they can't burn it down, they build an inquisitorial palace around it and then just don't go into that room. Don't go into Library Annex 5. Why? There's a field with one house in there. What do you mean there's a field? We didn't know what to do, so we built a building around it, okay? Don't judge us.
We felt the best way to secure it was to build a fortress on top of it and then just never speak of it.
Just don't go in that room, okay?
That's fair.
Don't go in the basement.
Yeah, unless you
there's always that one zinchy douchebag that's like,
knowledge is power.
There's that one super curious guardsman who can't stop himself. So,
and there's Zinch in the corner like, yes.
Do it. My precious.
The door, learn the secrets.
Guardsman's just sweating like, I gotta know. I gotta know, man. George.
You gotta know.
So speaking of crazy ass lore, it's a Tales from the Hive episode. And Kevin, it is time. It is time to lay down your thick, hot, juicy
man lore.
I was like, I made it kind of dirty. Do I keep going?
Oh yeah. I was like, why'd he stop? Please.
Which, as a bonus,
how do I relate it back to toes?
Is kind of a twofer.
You think it's a two-parter?
I mean, it's a twofer in a way.
Okay.
Because Rogue Trader.
Yeah, that's true.
So we kind of, it's not just this is a regiment of Imperial Guardsmen that I invented. So there's the Rogue Trader house to back it up and the history there that'll be going over as well.
Cool.
So do you want to go over like, because I know we talked about it being almost like a brainstorm episode as well. On some parts.
There's some parts that I have not been able to fill in, mostly names and things like that. But there's definitely some flavor text stuff that could use some brainstormy help on.
Yeah, cool.
But
Tom's not here because he's got a life apparently.
He's a wild piece of shit.
Yeah, son of a bitch.
Are they part of the wild?
Yeah, that's why I said he's a wild piece of shit. It's a,
yeah, that's weird. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I used to be part of the wild, and I know a couple of Wastelanders that are part of the wild.
Yeah.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying. I'm sure Tom will have a lot to tell us.
Yeah.
Oh, goody. I'll be here, ears wide open.
Lay it on thick. Spread it like a cream cheese,
like butter,
smear,
like schmear
on a bagel.
Schmear it.
Schmear on a bagel.
So what is the overarching like theme to your guard army?
So my guard army is a Rogue Traders militant force.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which in the current iteration of the lore lines up with after the awakening of Guilliman and basically the sacking of Rome. That was, the metaphor essentially that they. I mean, that's the metaphor. It's the sacking of Rome. The Death Guard came and just burned the fuck out of Ultramar. And I mean, in a plaguey sense of the way, and Ultramar being the
they come around spreading that poo.
Yeah. They smeared poo on the walls, and then Guilliman was like, "Man,
I don't like poo.
I don't want to live in a city with poo on the walls, and this Nurgle poo doesn't scrub off very well.
Can't even clean it.
Can't even burn it off.
It just keeps going. It's all wax on, no wax off.
Yeah, it's wax on. It's more just wax smear. Just smear
I'm trying to clean it, but it's just smearing.
It just makes it worse.
Do you imagine the guardsman that's on shit duty and he's just like, I can't.
I got the dookie on me.
Like no amount of bleach is fixing it.
Right. In the current lore, Guilliman was like, okay, this is bad, obviously, but you know what? There's got to be places in the universe that are untouched, which is essentially a rehashing of the original lore for Rogue Traders, which was the Emperor was like, man, I'm in a crusade and I build an Imperium, but I can't build an Imperium across the entire galaxy at once.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to hire essentially private contractors and be like, go.
In my name.
Go forth and conquistador in my name.
Mm.
Do Imperial shit, but I'm not paying for it. That's basically the gist of it.
You have my blessing.
You can keep all the cool stuff. Just do it for me. That's the important part. You're doing it in my name.
You take the shit, but you put my flag on top.
My flag, you keep the stuff. So
Rogue Traders are essentially privateers. Like if you want a historical contextualization, they're legal pirates.
It's a combination of privateer, East India Company.
Yeah, I've seen Pirates of the Caribbean. I know what's up.
Yeah, it's the East India Company that runs everything there.
Yeah.
Combined with privateering, which is a legal form of piracy.
Yeah.
So they took the idea of a warrant of trade, or a warrant of... So it's called a warrant of trade in Warhammer.
They're bestowed to hereditary imperial servants and nobles. They were given a starship. It's usually passed down throughout the family.
Through the family.
And crews. Sometimes they were even assigned space marines back in the day, where they can have space marines in their retinues. They're basically given carte blanche to roam the exterior worlds, the fringe worlds of the Imperium, either bringing those worlds into the Imperium or trading with those worlds. So Rogue Traders are one of the ways that the Mechanicus gets alien tech. Xenos tech would be an example.
So essentially, if my but my Rogue Trader house would set forth on a journey.
Right.
It would find a world that used to be populated by Xenos. Used to be.
Air quotes.
Used to be. Oh man, they were all dead when we got here. Oh, but look at all this cool shit.
Look at this land we found that's completely devoid of people. Excuse me. Who are all these people with feathers on their heads?
Pan the camera this way.
We're not talking about them.
Those aren't people.
Yeah.
That's
are fauna.
Those are animals. What are you talking about?
What do you mean you've lived in the Americas for 1,500 generations? Oh, but you have no system of ownership. Yeah, we're not going to use that against you at all.
Oh, so you're saying nobody owns this land?
They don't have a flag.
Well, I own this land.
I have a flag.
No flag.
No, they don't have a flag. I have a flag, so therefore it is mine.
Yeah.
You don't have an Aquila? There's no Aquila here. Interesting.
I guess it's mine then.
There's no Aquila here. Mm-mm.
And the thing is it also exempts them from all the laws that the Imperials have to follow. As in talking to Xenos.
Ah.
Yeah.
So Rogue Traders can legally trade with the Eldar, return to the Imperium, and sell stuff.
And
not be hunted by the Inquisition.
Well, kind of.
Now,
I'm sure there's a degree.
Should they do that, and it turns out that it's more benefiting the Xenos than it is the Imperials,
right?
The Inquisition can then use that as the argument.
Time to slap some hands.
Yeah.
So Rogue Traders and the Inquisition kind of have the same space in Imperial law, if you want to look at it. They both operate
gray.
Yeah, they both operate outside and in kind of a gray area. So if a Rogue Trader is powerful enough, or a Rogue Trader family is powerful enough, or like Kevin said, they follow the rules well enough, the benefit outweighs the price.
Right.
The Inquisition,
if they're always working in the interest of the Imperium, the Inquisition doesn't have any
generally looks the other way. Yeah. But if the Inquisition has a wild hair up its ass, or there's a blood feud, or the High Lord of Terra that was protecting
which they never do.
Trader.
I mean, they shoot super straight.
Yeah, and follow the rule book.
100%. Yeah, they don't just destroy planets just because they want to.
No,
the Tyranids
it might
are coming?
starve an alien race.
Yeah,
may or may not prevent an alien invasion in the future.
Totally.
Fuck them.
150 worlds? Yeah, that'll put a dent in the Tyranids' advances. Oh, the Tyranids aren't coming straight through the planet. They're coming over. Oops. So yeah, essentially the Inquisition.
Any other plans?
The Inquisition can go after Rogue Traders, and Rogue Traders can kind of go after the Inquisition.
Rogue Traders can legally defend themselves.
Yes.
So should the Inquisition be like, you're talking to Xenos, they can be like, I have a paper.
Yes.
See paper? It's okay.
It's signed by the Emperor and the High Lords of Terra. It says this is cool. And the Inquisition can be like, nah, it's still not cool because we're the Inquisition. And then the Rogue Trader can be like, I have cannons, go fuck yourself.
But do you have papers signed by the Emperor?
Yeah.
No?
No?
Fuck off.
The Inquisition guy is like, I got a paper signed by the Emperor too. Shoots the Rogue Trader in the face. See? Right? I just showed you my papers.
Dude, what's the fucking, what was the movie? Was it Hateful Eight? Where Samuel L. Jackson has a letter signed by, I think, President Lincoln. Yeah. He's just like, can I see the letter? And it's just like, no.
You've seen Parks and Rec. Right?
Yeah, I have a permit.
I've got a permit. And
I do what I want.
I do what I want, written on a piece of paper.
Signed by himself.
Who's the head of the Parks Department?
I mean,
so like, I guess that's technically
it's pretty valid.
Sorry to divert. That's what Rogue Traders are. So you've got a Rogue Trader militant, essentially?
So essentially, my Rogue Trader was, in this lore, Gilliman summoned, he's just said, all Rogue Traders. Mm-hmm. He just sent out a message, blanket wide. He invited all the Rogue Traders to come to Ultramar. And he held this giant conference. And he was like, I'm greeting you all to invite you on this expedition that I want you to to partake in for the Greater Imperium. We need new worlds. We need to expand. We've only been on the defensive. We've been in decline and decay. And he goes, I understand that most of you probably won't survive this mission. And you can
that is a risk I'm willing to take.
It's actually, but he actually gives them an out. He says, you can all leave now without staining your honor, because he understands that they have other shit to do too.
Right.
That this is a ridiculous, like, wild card, but he still needs to play it. So he then got enough of them to commit to doing this, and he basically just sent them out in every direction.
Okay.
Just like scattered them to the wind. That's the lore.
That's essentially how they all...
And so they were all tasked. That's the current status of Rogue Traders in the most up-to-date form of lore.
Gotcha.
In general, each one's kind of doing
Now, did he give them a letter that he signed?
No.
He didn't issue new letters.
These letters have existed since the Great Crusade.
Yeah, these letters were written a long time ago.
Oh, okay. So these are letters that are passed down from...
Yeah.
Okay. This isn't something that's like...
Go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, this isn't like something that Gilliman was like, oh, here's the new letter. You are now Rogue Traders, because they're already Rogue Traders.
There are Rogue Trader houses that have existed since basically the dawn of time.
The High Lords of Terra and the Senatorium can issue new writs.
Can issue new ones.
Of trade. But overall, actually, I don't know, because there's not like a lot of primary lore on it.
Much on it. But
it is suggested that the majority of Rogue Trader houses are very, very old, and they're hereditary organizations. So it was your great.
Yeah, I mean, how are you going to get the Emperor to sign that letter when he
hadn't been around for 10,000 years?
Lieutenant Dan, you ain't got no hands.
You ain't got no hands.
Ain't got no hands. How you gonna sign the letter, Lieutenant Dan?
Lieutenant Dan,
Emperor cream. Dan, how you gonna sign the letter with no hand?
Oh my God, guys!
But so I took that. Like that's the baseline lore for Rogue Traders, and then I took kind of my own flavor and dispersed my own on the flavorings, the trappings of the house, things like that, the lore and the backstory for my personal things. That being said, I used a lot of historical references to kind of pull from as my flavorings.
Right.
So I'm confused by this. This is why I'm asking. So you're using existing Rogue Trader, or you're using models and you made your own Rogue Trader?
I'm using the Rogue Trader kill team for the Euclidean Star Striders as my Rogue Trader.
But they're not Euclidean Star. They're your own thing.
I decided that I use the rule set for the Euclidean Star Striders just because there is no other rule set. That's the only rule set for Rogue Trader stuff. And they have the tabletop rules to translate them into actual 40K. So that's why when I bring them, they actually have rules. I've decided that I'm not going to actually play the lore as them. I'm using my own names.
Okay, you're using your own Rogue Trader.
So who's your
own custom house?
Yeah. So that's what I was kind of getting at.
Right.
So what's your? Tell us your custom Rogue Trader house.
So the house is House Cuchilla.
Cuchilla.
Yeah.
From the from the Indigonian Valley.
No, where did it go? I had my.
I'm sorry, dude. I had to make a Coachella joke. I'm sorry. Marky's fault.
I know.
I just had my phone. Where did it go?
You don't need notes. Just make it up. What we do, we don't have notes. We just lie.
I had the name of the system and stuff like that.
I'm just giving you shit. Yeah, fine. Take a second, dude.
You mean to call you, Kev? Oh, you got it?
It was just hiding in the shadow of Mount Mordor.
Mother Nature's natural camouflage.
I really like the idea. I'm sorry. I'm still stuck on the idea that there's this room that you're not supposed to go into in this inquisitorial palace, and there's just some Zechian demon in the corner who's playing Gollum to the guardsmen. He's like, They don't like you, precious. They're not your friend.
I really got to go in that room.
I really got to check out what's in there.
All right. So I didn't actually have the system name, but I have it's the system is run currently by the Rogue Trader household, basically ascended to primacy over the twin planets that are in close proximity in the system. So, and those twin planets, one of them is by far larger than the other one, but the other one is more rich in minerals and better posed for trade with the outer lying planets and colonies in the system.
And both of those belong to your Rogue Trader?
Yeah, they united under the single house.
Mm-hmm.
They are on a similar orbit as well.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
So
they're close enough together that their orbit is nearly matched, and that because of their mass differential,
it's like an Earth and Moon kind of scenario.
Almost.
Yeah. Are you placing this in the Carcosan sector, or is this out in the realms of Ultramar?
I actually have not decided exactly where the system lies. That is almost irrelevant generally, since I'm not really operating in the system. It's just more
where they originated from.
Yeah, it's just fun flavor to add to it. And the Rogue Trader house rose to primacy over both of these planets.
Mm-hmm.
And this stems actually, I decided their backstory should go all the way back to the Great Crusade era and even into the Age of Strife.
Yeah.
Because the two planets are so close together, they were able to maintain some trade throughout, and that's the important planets
throughout the worst parts of the Imperium's timeline.
Yeah, so they were able to continue functioning, and then they were reliant on their merchant class.
Yeah, and
to
then
maintain the two planets and their imbalances of one being rich in material and minerals, and being better posed to trade with asteroids, and the other one just being mostly people and populace.
On top of that, because eventually we plan on running a crusade with House Byzantine, Tom's Knights, and Kevin's Imperial Guard, them being that far back in the timeline, they've heard of Tom's Knights at that time.
We can weave the histories together easier.
So the legend of Tom's Knights gets essentially passed down throughout the Rogue Traders, timeline, and they're like, "Oh, we've heard of you before."
Logs, records, things like that we can weave into the story to
which could be some cool story.
Definitely cool.
The other thing is, I definitely pulled from history so that's one of the things I pulled from history. Is that's actually inspired by the Aztec city that the conquistadors came and fucked up. The what was it called?
El Dorado.
No, Tenochtitlan.
Yeah, Tenochtitlan. The original name for Mexico City.
Yeah, Mexico City in the previous time.
Oh,
yeah. So
a lot of these sound very provocative.
So
Coachelian. What is it? Tonachula?
Honestly,
how do you not know this, Mark? Go get yelled at by your wife.
I don't even know my grandma's name, bro. Tenochtitlan.
Techno Children's got it.
Technochitlin.
And I've been working on trying to 40Ki's these names a little bit to work them for the
like Tenochilia or something.
Yeah, and so that there's that is actually a Twin Cities thing, and that's where I pulled the Twin Planets.
I dig it.
Cool stuff.
I really like that.
After the Emperor showed up, those merchant houses that maintain those two planets in trade together were obviously recognized as like, oh, you guys are basically doing what
self-sufficient.
You guys are doing what I want you to do already. Just do it over there now. And so then the house was like, oh, then proceeded to go out and
do you have a name?
Multiply.
Do you have a name for the current Inquisitor that is the Inquisitor? I'm sorry, the Rogue Trader that is. Do you have a name for the Rogue Trader that is currently commanding the army?
Yeah.
So
who's the commander?
The Rogue Trader in command of this flotilla is like the character that I'm having as like the main Rogue Trader for this one. I haven't exactly decided on the name. I keep going back and forth on a few.
Okay.
It depends. It depends on which culture I decide to kind of lean towards. Yeah.
You've definitely borrowed some stuff from like the Age of Piracy as far as like Pirates of the Caribbean go.
Age of Piracy, Age of Sail. Because, I mean, and that's one of the things I love about Rogue Traders is the flamboyant pirate aspects of it that they obviously weave into the costume design.
Right.
I love the Napoleonic age uniforms, which is, I mean, it's you can see the overlap between Age of Sail piracy into Napoleonic Guard, and all that kind of stuff. It's all the same.
Well, and it
kind
was
of era.
Such a compact portion of history, and we have a lot of popular culture based on it, which is definitely interesting.
So I took those concepts and kind of folded them in, and I haven't decided if I want to lean more on the like Portuguese, Spanish conquistadors.
Okay.
Or if I want to go more formal East India Company, like Merchant Marine style.
So why not both?
One definitely is more old school looking.
Okay.
Than the other one.
And now you're talking about like naming
this is also naming. How do you name something that's both Spanish and British?
Well, you call it like, give me a British name. Tom. Blackbeard Tom.
That doesn't work.
Why not? Wasn't
Blackbeard Dutch?
Yeah.
It's semantics.
See, but that's the thing is there are ways to do it. And the thing is, I also really like the aesthetic for conquistadors.
Yeah, definitely.
The rounded breastplate, the arquebus, the
big feather.
The big feather, but also the helmet specifically, how it has the
the ridge.
The dovetail ridge down the middle with the flared sides.
Yeah.
I think all that stuff is actually pretty cool aesthetically.
Yeah, definitely.
And so that would be fun to go lean that way and get some models for like a house guard.
Right.
So I would have then my normal Imperial Guard, which are the troops on the ground. But
so
then for Scions, I would use them as like the house guard, which are
I see. Yeah.
So then I could go get conquistador heads with feathers
easily.
And cool shit, or I could go tricorns and like be very East India Merchant Marine.
Okay. I see what you're saying now. Okay. Yeah. And that's why you're stuck on like the specific names of people.
Right. It's because I haven't decided exactly which culture I'm leaning with. And so it's kind of I have options there, but I've decided for both. I have options and I have thought about how to go either way.
Okay. So now to delve into specific named characters or units in your army, is there anyone that possibly stands out? I mean, I don't know.
If I have to talk about Billy, I guess.
Twist
my arm.
Who's this Billy guy?
So the Rogue Trader.
So okay, yeah. I was going to say related.
I'll disseminate it down real quick. Yeah. So we have the flotilla of Rogue Trader, because a Rogue Trader can operate either as a single ship, a la the Enterprise in Star Trek. And the Federation that it works within, which is also another thing that I like to represent. And actually, I think I'm going to pull some of my officer characters from Star Trek characters.
Yeah.
I really want to have an officer named Riker.
Okay.
Who sits backwards on every fucking chair, no matter what.
But also some of the lesser known characters too.
Like it
would be fun to have
like a Sergeant Riker. That's a cool name too.
Yeah. anyways, we've deviated, but they also operate in small flotillas when operating on extended voyages. Obviously, they would need things.
Flotilla.
A flotilla, also an old Age of Sail word.
A couple of ships.
Yeah,
more than one vessel.
Yeah,
gotcha.
It's not an armada.
Yeah. For us simpleton folk,
it's.
We'll get you a really fancy feather.
Bigger than a squadron, because I think a squadron is something like 3 ships.
Oh, really?
And then a flotilla would be like 5 to 7.
Oh.
These are ballparky. But,
yeah.
And then I think it would, anything after 10 would be like a small armada or a fleet. Things like that.
Okay. So flotilla.
Yeah, flotilla. And
less than fleet, more than...
The other thing that a flotilla implies that they're not all warships.
Ah.
That's the other thing.
Okay, like transport vessels,
it
mining
also
vessels.
Conveys those... Yeah, so there's support vessels that go with a rogue trader because they're meant to operate for extended times away from Imperial space. So they have to be able to maintain their own.
I dig it.
They have a fuel ship. They have
right.
At least in my flotilla, the concept is they have
self-sufficient. It's a self-sufficient flotilla,
so that it do these things and go all these other places in the universe.
It can go the distance.
Yeah, goes the speed.
Yeah.
Are we gonna continue to quote cake songs? What is going on here?
Hey, I'm gonna keep going as long as I can until the copyright strike hits, and then I'm gonna rewind it by 1 word.
No, you don't understand. You don't understand. Under pressure is dun 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 dun. My song is dun 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 dun. It's different. Fucking Vanilla Ice. Can I say that without getting canceled? Fucking Vanilla Ice, okay?
Yeah, he's white.
Can we say that David Bowie and Queen and Freddie Mercury were better than Vanilla Ice without getting canceled? Because if we can, I just did.
Too late now. I guess we just said it.
I guess we either get canceled for liking classic rock over
Vanilla Ice. I mean, I really don't think people are going to fault us here.
I think we'll actually gain followers for this.
Probably.
I know there's somebody right now shouting at their podcast service like, "Listen, Go Ninja was the best song."
Vanilla Ice, if you listen to the podcast, hey man, we actually really love you, dude. It was
nothing personal. It's just a joke.
Was it? Hey, what? Didn't he come up with the song in the Ninja Turtles 3 movie?
Yeah, Go Ninja. That's what I just said. Man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Go
he
Ninja,
came up with that
Go
song.
Ninja, go! Come on.
You can't.
But who came up with the DK rap? Which was by far the better rap of the ninja rap.
Who knows?
Versus other dumb rap.
Who knows?
You know what I'm talking about.
This is a whole. Yeah, I do, but this is a whole.
This is turning into a.
We are so off topic. All right.
So a flotilla.
So we have the flotilla.
Yeah.
The small grouping of ships of varying size and capability designed to support each other on their extended voyage into the great beyond.
To infinity.
Yeah. So within this
flotilla means a fleet of ships or boats. That's it. There's no other. That's the definition.
It's just
there's no hard
fleet.
Oh, okay.
It's a fancy way of saying a fleet.
Yeah.
A flotilla.
It normally conveys a different sense.
But it's used size. like you wouldn't use it. Like you would say this is the Pacific Strike Fleet, and then you would say this is the Merchant Cargo Flotilla. You wouldn't say the Merchant Cargo Strike Fleet.
Yeah.
Unless they launch Hyundais and Subarus out people. I don't know. Maybe that happens.
The other thing that I wanted to know is my rogue trader is not the king of kings in this family.
So it's not
because it's a dynasty.
Head
it's not. They're not. He's not.
Family. Okay.
She technically it's a she is not the head of this dynasty.
So like a cousin twice removed. What are we talking?
No, like still important, obviously. Okay. And within the family enough to have access to the trade. No, still mainline family.
Sister.
Well, it could be daughter. Granddaughter.
Yeah, I mean, this rogue trader is not obviously the one that got the warrant of trade.
Right. It's a great,
1,000 years later.
But that's probably been like that. Like the guy who got that's probably not
for
around
everyone
either, right?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And so, but the same family has held it and used it dynastically, and this rogue trader is part of that mainline.
How many siblings she got?
I haven't come up with that yet, but enough.
She got kids?
Well, the thing is
does she like to cook on Sundays?
Marky's just over here throwing out dumb questions.
No, these are legitimate questions.
So I'm trying to get to things.
These are legitimate questions.
I have places I'm trying
I must
to get to.
know.
From an Imperium standpoint, is just a little like quick interjection of lore. At the level of money and influence that Inquisitors and Rogue Traders and high members of Parliament and everything are at, they have access to like rejuvenation treatments. So it's really possible that the dynasty holder, whoever the dynastic head of the family is, could be her great-great-grandfather and be 900 years old.
Yeah.
And in control of the family and still look like he's in his 40s or 50s. And
that's actually something that I borrowed from the Elucia Vane's backstory.
Mm-hmm.
Is she's something like she's dumb. She's like 500 years old.
Oh, yeah. She's like
but nobody knows.
Right.
Her medic, and stuff. Her medic that actually is in the squad is her personal rejuve treatment specialist.
It's just
also
a dude
medic, but it's also a girl.
He just runs around with Botox needles, jabbing them in her ass, like you're gonna be pretty forever.
Yeah. Moisturize me.
Oh God, no! Stop, please, Jesus! I stopped watching after that. Oh God, I couldn't.
The face.
Yeah, dude,
so
I couldn't.
Weird.
I couldn't.
But
don't remind me of that.
So like, but I liked that lore bit, and I borrowed a lot of the actual Elucia Vane and the Euclidean Starstriders lore to build my Rogue Trader house. I just wanted to, change some of it.
I dig it.
Make it my own. And so I borrowed the rejuve treatment and everything. I also came up with this crazy concept that, like you said, the great-grandfather, great-great-great-grandfather is actually basically almost all the way back there. It's not quite there, but it's getting there.
So he's probably somebody that was around during like the age of apostasy, like age.
Probably, yeah. Super old, but also I played around with a little bit of, as a rogue trader and as, a market manipulator would be, played around with their own version of like the Golden Throne for the guy who got the warrant of trade. And basically, whenever they get super, super old and become the head of the family, they plug into the throne of, it's basically the stock market.
Okay.
And they manage the finances from basically the CEO's throne.
That's pretty cool.
And then they're basically bound to that point until they die.
Yeah, it's almost like Attack on Titan.
Yeah, some cool shit like that.
Or,
I don't know. I haven't fully fleshed out. This is a lot of
just every once in a while, like you throw in some reference, and I'm like, what the fuck is Attack on Titan?
It's an anime.
Or My Hero Academia.
Oh, right.
That's also an anime.
I got that reference. I didn't understand the other anime. I got the second anime. Cool thing.
But yeah, so the concept of
the Avatar, Last Airbender,
becoming one like to manage the finances as like almost with the machine.
I dig that. I really like that actually.
That'd be like a cool.
So
like that they all, because they're all going to end up dying eventually.
Yeah. So you say that she's not the King of Kings, right, or the Queen of Queens. So do they have copies of the letter?
The document?
Yeah.
Well, so the documents weren't written to a person; they were written to a family. So there would be like a master writ that's probably on the ship, and then there would be like copies, like scroll copies.
Okay, so there would be copies.
So there would be one back home on the planet,
right,
with the big head honcho man,
right.
The daimyo or whatever you want to call him. So this is the thing, is depending on what culture, I could then name him
definitely
whatever is relevant.
Yeah.
The big boss man would have one there with him. There would be then like representative copies.
See, because when the Inquisition's
when the show up with a warrant to your house, they don't show up with the warrant. They show up with a printout of the
facts of it,
So they would have the mobile copy.
I gotcha.
Inquisitors have documentation which allows them to be an Inquisitor. And because they have that documentation, they can get their rosette. And their rosette is their badge of office. So, and this isn't
like
defined.
An undercover being able to flash a badge.
Right.
And you not being like, well, where's the rest of your uniform?
So it's their credential, essentially.
Yeah. Right. So I would imagine with it not being well defined that the rogue traders probably have some similar.
Kind of credential.
Definitely. I mean, having hordes and hordes and hordes of money is generally a good way to get things done.
Well, and you show up.
People stop asking how when you just drop a bag of gold on their desk.
Yeah, you show up. You show up in a ship that's painted original Crusade colors. that is an original Crusade pattern that still fucking operates better
Still
than
works.
anything out there.
Isn't painted like chaos.
Yeah. You're
no spiky bits.
And you're just a dock master. And the dude's like, here's a bag of gold. Don't ask questions.
He just slaps you.
Yes, sir. And look the other way.
He just slaps you with a bag of gold. Out of my way, peon.
Basically,
he's just like, you slap me again if you want.
The Inquisitor greases palms with like 5 thrones, and the Rogue Trader greases palms with like 5 chests and says, "Don't look at what I'm doing."
Mm-hmm.
And those
it
chests
works out
are
better
full
for
of
everybody.
thrones.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a level of and that's important to understand about a lot of, especially when you base a Rogue Trader house out of the Crusade era, and it's that whole idea of well, yeah, if you went back 200 years and invested a penny in the stock market, how much money would you have now? It's that same idea. When you've got 10,000 years to play the market, you're gonna
what's up,
rich.
Fabulously, stupidly wealthy.
Especially when you're allowed to trade and bring in exotic things that no one else is able to trade or bring in.
Right.
One of the things that Rogue Traders play with a lot are called the Jokero, and the Jokero are an alien race of like super
cool shit.
Intelligent simians. Yeah. And they make microdized technology, and they pretty much only deal with Rogue Traders. They don't like dealing with anybody else in the universe.
Inquisitors hire them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of more just on the whim of the Jokero than it is on the Inquisitor being able to. It's like, oh, this will be interesting to do for a while.
Yeah.
And then they probably just go fuck off after a little bit.
Yeah.
The orangutan.
Yeah, the monkey man.
The AK orangutan.
How do you get to Billy from... Okay, so the leader of your flotilla is this gal.
And then we step down a few, which also leaves me some nice opportunities for villains.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle of the cousin's family, things like that.
Twice removed.
That's what I was playing with, is that there's an uncle who secretly worships chaos.
Oh.
And has spies in my flotilla.
Okay, I like that.
Which is how I borrowed in. So the Euclidean Starstriders lore, they went out to go find these pure worlds that hadn't been tainted yet. And in their lore, there's a traitor among their fleet as well, being whispered to by the dark powers. And that's how the Geller field gets fucked with. And that's how Gellerpox gets on the ship.
Okay.
So Gellerpox gets... And then that's actually fun, because then it's like we're going to go find these new worlds to colonize. We're also bringing the plague with us. So it's not going to be nice as soon as we get there.
And they got a naughty uncle whispering in someone's ear.
Yeah, essentially. So I kind of borrowed some of that a little bit. And there are other family members. Some are working, some family members cooperatively, other family members trying to make it so, the main line of secession.
So there's some like Jersey Shore drama, Kim Kardashian's drama within.
I'm talking more like Bridgerton drama.
What's that?
That's the current one on Netflix that everybody's watching.
Oh, okay.
all the girlies.
Army wives.
Yeah, stuff like that.
I
don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't watch TV.
I don't watch that either, but I just thought it was funny.
What else?
It's some Selling Sunset shit. That's all I know.
No, I'm sorry. It's political drama. It's Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Game of Thrones, uncle backstabbing, sister fucking.
The new Halo show. Yeah. The new Halo TV show.
Dude,
say sister fucking?
No sister fucking, but you know what I mean. Game of Thrones.
It's whatchamacallit.
It's dynasty drama. That's just what
it made me think. It made me think of The Lion King. It's Scar. It's Hamlet.
Yeah, Scar.
It's Hamlet.
Hamlet. Yeah, it's all those stories kind of follow that same. There's a family member trying to kind of follow that same. There's
hold up. Is that what Lion King was based off? Hamlet?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hamlet. What?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, blowing your mind.
Wow.
You know what's funny is I've never read Hamlet and I still knew.
No, I never knew. Wow.
But
next thing you're gonna tell me Shamu's not fucking Shamu.
Shamu is no longer Shamu, Mark. It's like Whale 4 at this point, okay?
No, don't.
Free Willy was just a movie.
You can't do. Excuse you. I'm gonna drop this conversation right now before I lose my shit.
Like, get out.
We're not having this conversation on the podcast.
So how do you get from?
After we've got that set up, I just wanted to finish some of the bigger picture stuff as we get into this.
Got you.
So
sorry.
then my flotilla, run by my rogue trader, of name redacted currently. Error in the records.
I like that.
Way to do.
Goes down. We have a flotilla. Knowing that they're going to unexplored planets, they're going to be basically on their own with little chance of support from other friendly forces. They bring an army with them. Because how else are you supposed to make money?
Yes.
It also helps negotiate trade. Say we show up, and this is actually from, I decided to borrow this bit of lore from actual history and implement it into part of mine. My rogue trader went out and found a planet. This planet was an exporter of an extremely rare plant. It grows in a very specific climate. And they were like, oh, we should trade with this planet. Oh, it'd
be great to take this to Kentucky and get it to grow in the mountains. Am I picking up what you're putting down, Kyle?
No, that is not the same.
We're not going with opium? I thought we were going with opium.
No, that would be when there was a Tau world that the Imperials wanted to destabilize. They started growing opium and shipping it to the Tau worlds.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah. Because, how better to destabilize a bunch of greater good people than making them feel greater than good?
Yeah, got that Alaskan strain.
All the
time. Which is actually, believe it or not, also a historical thing that I'm borrowing.
Oh.
That actually happened in real life. Back to the original one it was a rare spice, and then my people showed up and they made a trade deal, and they were like, hey, you can trade all your spices with us and we'll pay you fairly for them. And then they decided that another rogue trader showed up later and they were going to trade with that one.
Oh, that's
and I came, and so my rogue trader came back and was like, you broke the deal. And they were like, go fuck yourself. We need to buy stuff from other people too.
Now you must die.
And so my rogue trader's like,
my name is Inigo Montoya.
Prepare to die.
Prepare to die.
Definitely thinned the population of the natives, but
it's a nice way of saying it.
But made sure not to kill enough of them to keep working the fields. Then brought in fresh Imperial colonists from Ultramar.
Oh my! Is this Pocahontas? No,
this is actually the Dutch history of the East India Company.
Oh, okay.
So that actually happened.
I didn't know I was getting a history lesson.
No, that's what's fun about my thing. I actually borrowed a lot of.
I really like it
and incorporated it into.
I really like it.
The Dutch East India Company.
Yeah.
Went to India. Had an area they farmed nutmeg. They made a deal with the nutmeg farmers. It only grows in this one island at this point in history.
Yeah.
It doesn't grow anywhere else in the world. And they go and they're like, okay, here's the deal. You can only trade with us. We're going to buy our nutmeg and sell it to everybody else. And they're like, cool.
Yep.
But how are we supposed to import the food that we need to eat? And then they're like, too bad.
Oh, that's fucked.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And the British showed up. They're like, hey, you want to buy some stuff from us? And then they're like, yeah, cool. And then the Dutch were like, we told you weren't allowed to do that. Then when they tried to fight them on it, the Dutch just pulled out all their guns and fucking murdered them all. And then imported a bunch of Dutch people to come run the factories and stuff.
Oh my God, dude.
So you missed this part of... So our episode on Armageddon, we talked about the first war of Armageddon, and obviously the end of the first war of Armageddon was they rounded everybody up. They sterilized them and they sent them out to work camps where they killed them.
Blessed.
And then of course, immediately then they were like, okay, so all of Armageddon has been depopulated. Let's just bring in a new population.
Let's just repopulate. Yeah. The Imperium actually uses that tactic quite often of just murdering an entire population and replacing it.
So the one thing I really liked about I really liked about this one thing that we talked about years ago.
Yeah, getting...
Okay. I'll let you get to
it. We keep getting so sidetracked by all this crazy side story here. So, keeping all that in mind, having an army is very conducive to the operations of rogue traders.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have a ground commander that has proven his mettle on multiple occasions.
Okay.
Earned his brass balls, if you will.
Okay.
And the rogue trader has allowed him specifically to operate generally without oversight once ground deployment has commenced. Which is typically why you don't see the rogue trader leading from the front.
That's why they're the.
So the rogue trader shows up as like, I would like to not even I want.
I'm here to see this through personally.
Yeah, or
Whereas,
but more of a vacation. Less of an objective, more of a.
I need to go stretch my legs.
Yeah,
yeah. It's you know what? I feel like murdering some indigenous people today.
I should mingle with the common man so they remember I exist.
Yeah.
So who is this prestigious lad?
This is Senor Belarus.
Oh, Billy badass.
Billy the Badass, as
Billy.
mentioned many, many times
Yes.
throughout our history of a gaming group here.
Billy Badass, Billy Black Claw, Billy Big Cack.
So
brass balls.
So how did Billy go from
Billy
an unseasoned sergeant to the commander of the ground forces?
So as you do in 40K, epic things happen.
Yes.
We decided that in my Rogue Traders scouting abouts that unfortunately something like Planet P happened. And
brain bug.
Yeah, there was big nasty bugs.
He was attacked by a Moloch, right?
Well, essentially they were hunting for cool stuff when all them bugs came out the ground.
Start eating people.
They started eating people. So then as the Imperial Guard were withdrawing, because if fighting the bugs and dying, maybe get something cool afterwards. But once there's no more profit to be gained, not worth sticking around. So they pulled out and in the process, tried to save as many evacing as many men as possible. Because also, it's not worth, how are you supposed to make money if all your shit gets blown up
or eaten?
You can't make money if you don't have any men.
Right.
So
don't want to mess up the profit margin.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to. That's like overhead.
Yeah.
Material costs, overhead, like
there's some like social commentary going on right now. Right? This is about Warhammer 40K. Warhammer 40K does not make social commentary.
This is a business
ever,
and the guardsmen's lives have a fixed throne count.
Yes,
it's probably only about 3 or 4 per guardsman. Actually,
depends if
I believe the current rate for guardsmen is something like 5.5 thrones per guardsman.
Depends if they have a las gun. Actually, it doesn't matter anymore.
Now it doesn't matter. All the equipment costs the same.
That's true.
Anyways, so Billy he started out as you do at the bottom of the corporate structure. As a lowly, he did manage to make team leader, and while he was team leader, his buddy, another squad leader,
who we have not named,
it's not important.
He's no longer with
Dedicus.
Dedicus
Maximus.
Dedicus. His most Dedicus redactus.
Yes,
because they're from Ultramar, right? So Dedicus Maximus.
Well, they're not all from Ultramar, just some of them. Well, the Rogue Trader just kind of recruits as they go.
Yeah, so that was the thing that I wanted to really touch on, Kev. Because the Rogue Trader travels around, your Rogue Trader travels around so much to different planets, collecting different things. These planets sometimes have leftover guardsmen that were just left there.
That's actually
the last surviving squad of, whatever,
Definitely.
Yeah, company, such and such, 389, or Regiment 357 of Cadia, or these Steel Legion guys that are like, the Bash Brothers. Yeah.
My Rogue Trader actually collects wayward guard forces as a discount.
I love it so much.
And as a service to the Munitorum.
Yes.
Oh, it would be really expensive for you to send a whole fleet out there to pick up the last 200 surviving guardsmen from that terrible bloody battle.
Mm-hmm.
You mind if I just pick them up?
Yeah.
And take them off your hands? I'll pay you
premium.
I'll pay you half the going rate so that you don't have to pick them up. And then the Munitorum, yeah, sounds good. So then Rogue Traders acquired a bunch of new guardsmen. Cool.
Yes.
Meat for the grinder.
Which actually equates into the tabletop version of Kevin's army as well.
Right. Yeah, because you've got mixed units.
I have some mixed units. It actually started from a metagaming perspective. I wanted to be able to dual detachment so that I could have, a force for doing one type of play and another force for doing another type of play
simultaneously
on the board.
It's not so much metagaming. You were getting,
I was
you were
also
using
experimenting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was experimenting, trying to find what regiment I liked.
Mm-hmm.
But I worked it into my lore that, okay, so I had Cadians that I had gotten left over after the decimation of Cadia that I had taken with me on this, journey that Gilliman had sent. Cool, that makes sense. Cadians would be easily incorporated into that.
And they're everywhere.
And they're
Cadians are everywhere.
And then I also really liked the Vostroyans aesthetic and like a bunch of other stuff about the Vostroyans. I like their doctrines and stuff, the way they play on tabletop.
100%.
So I got some guys that painted them like Vostroyans, and I was like, cool. So I got these guys too. And then I kind of worked it in. Okay, so Vostroya in the current lore is separated from most of the Imperium by a lot of warp storms, and the ships are they're still sending out their firstborn out to go, and they don't even know if they're making it to where they're going.
Yeah.
But they're sending them out anyways. So my thing was, okay, so they found a troop ship lost in spat out of the warp, and they basically just found them marooned in space.
Yeah.
And they're like, cool, you're coming with us.
It makes sense.
Bam. Part of the fleet.
I love it.
Yeah, a little bit of Battlestar Galactica style fleet building where like as they're going, they're just kind of like, oh, cool, we picked one.
Join us.
We got.
Got some more?
Oh, here's a Mechanicus nonsense, things like that.
Yeah.
Also in my lore, I did work in that part of like finding these interesting planets had earned favor from the Mechanicum. That there had been several high value worlds, STCs, things like that had been found throughout the dynasty, and they had been given a small squadron of knights to accompany their fleet, because obviously the Mechanicus would like to be represented at the forefront as well.
Okay.
So
your knights,
Mechanicus force.
Your knights are Mechanicus. They're not Imperial.
Right now I have them as Mechanicus. I haven't hard settled on that.
Yeah.
With the fact that I know we don't like to date us with what's currently happening in the real world 40k wise, but with the Knights Codex coming out, things are going to be changing drastically.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like to be able to work in plausible tabletop play into my lore.
That's fair.
So with knowing that they're going to be changing knights and the way that they're because I did see we could probably edit this little bit out. They're changing the way Freeblades can be incorporated into non.
Oh, really?
Lists.
It actually looks like it's getting easier, but
that's essentially what they're doing. Is they're allowing you to take a Freeblade in a list without losing your list.
Yeah.
Like Super Doctrine and stuff. So Space Marines could bring an Imperial Knight as a Freeblade.
Yeah.
And not lose your Super Doctrine.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. But until it's all out, we don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah, fair.
And obviously, if that's the case, then I would like them to be Freeblades.
Right.
But
not Mechanicus. Right.
As it stands now, I'm running them as I have earned.
So your lore is malleable.
It's malleable. I like to keep it, because I don't want it to be like, oh, they changed something on the rule set and it just like invalidates a chunk of my lore.
Right.
Or if they change something in the rule set and it means I can't play the army the way I would like to play the army or something like that.
You want to play the army and you want to eat, what is it? You want to have your cake and eat it or some shit like that?
Yeah. I want to have my cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
So, by being able to make a flexible cake recipe,
yes,
it allows you to have your cake more often and eat the cake in multiple varieties.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's pretty easy to do, and that's what a lot of striving to write lore. Lore is the story. How the army functions can be removed or as connected to the story as possible. But like with a lot of the stuff that we've shown before, a lot of the stuff that we've talked about, like with the Skaldmar Worlds lore that I've given out and the Knights lore that Tom has given out, none of that's really bound in rules. And that's exactly what Kevin's doing. Kevin's building it more organically. And Kevin, you've got kind of the best current example of the choices that I make in playing the game are informing how I build my lore, which is
100%.
neat, which is super
100%.
Cool.
I'm long crusading.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. I'm using my gameplay experience to build my own lore, which is how we invented Billy.
Exactly. Every game you've played from when you started playing your guard army till now has been anything that was of note has been added into the lore of your army, which is awesome.
Yeah, which is super dope.
Yeah,
so
I'm enjoying that. It keeps me coming back, and it's one of the reasons I haven't started another army. To me, this army's not done yet.
The
still working continues.
On it. the quest continues.
So run down where Billy is at this point. So Billy, what are the major things that have happened that have made Billy the man he is today.
Billy was born. End of story. Born a badass.
It's like the Chuck Norris of his guard.
So Billy lost his legs, right?
Well, Billy didn't lose his legs on day one.
Okay.
Billy obviously had to make it to team lead.
Yes.
And I had
flip 6-3 hole.
Yeah, flip 6-3 hole. There was a couple training games, and I had a few squad sergeants that just refused to die. And so I kind of took the legend of the squad sergeant that just won't quit and combined him to call him Billy. Because back at that point, you don't really keep track of which one's which.
Right, yeah.
So I took that concept of, that sometimes, you kill 8 out of 10 of those guardsmen and that last one just isn't running away.
Yep.
That's cool. The sergeant and the plasma gunner still left every time, to beat a badass. So I took that kind of thing. Okay, so that's Billy. Well, Billy's friend got trapped in no man's land when the Tyranids were coming to eat them all. So Billy was like, I gotta get my friend back. No,
I can't leave him.
Can't leave him there. Not out to die in the field.
He saved my life. It's my turn.
Exactly. His, battle buddy.
Yeah.
So he went out. He saved his friend. They made it all the way back. They were about to evac, and he got fucking rat-checked out from under him.
By a Moloch.
A Moloch.
Of all things.
Came out of the ground and tore up his friend right in front of Billy's eye.
Ate Billy's friend, and then
he took Billy's legs.
Took his legs.
And that made it personal.
That's right, because Billy took that Moloch's life.
Oh, Billy fucked that Moloch back.
And Billy
so did all the tanks that were sitting next to Billy also fucked on that Moloch.
Yeah. And Billy has had a thing against my Molochs ever since.
Oh, it wasn't your Moloch even that did it.
No. It was my 3 Molochs like a year and a half later that I'm talking about.
Yeah. And Billy's like,
I've seen this shit before.
I got
we don't like these.
All right, so that's how he lost. So that's how he lost his legs.
They ain't taking my third leg.
And right after that game is when Ryan started gaming with us, and I happened to get the converted legs from you.
It's
the Space Marine legs.
Yeah, they're.
It was like Iron Hand legs.
Yeah, it's like an Iron Hand chaplain or something's legs. Yep. It has like a little bit of a tapestry, but it's basically just some Space Marine robot-y looking legs with an Imperial Guard torso on top, and then I, tweaked a little bit, painted it up, and then brought him back out, and we fought against a massive Waaagh twice.
Yes. Yep. Many times.
And we've Waa'd on several occasions. Have had a good Waaagh.
Various crusades.
Yes. On a very reliable case. that is the reason. It wasn't just a one-off. This was like a game after game.
Yeah, Billy
just some reason
kept being a badass.
Billy would always be there at the end of the game, turn 4, staring down Gazgul from like 6 or 8 inches away. All the guardsmen around Billy are murdered.
Yep.
Gaz dunked on him. But Billy's not murdered.
No.
And Gaz is down to his last like 2 wounds.
Yep.
And then Billy comes in swinging. So we...
and this was back when he was a commander.
This is back... He was basically just either a platoon commander or a company commander, depending on the day. So, he got his little promotion as he worked his way up.
And to fit in with your Rogue Trader lore and the fact that Rogue Traders will work with anybody, that was when you and I were playing on a team often. So it was my Exodites and your Rogue Trader forces on the same side.
Yep.
Exodite forces also completely dead around.
That was the game where you got murdered by like turn 2.
Oh my God, man.
And it was Billy just standing out in the open like,
I'm sorry, Ryan.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. And then like the second game or the third game that we did that was like kind of like it was Mortarion and Gaz coming at us, and we were just like,
that was dirty.
Let's just shoot everything and hope neither of them get here, and it didn't work.
Yeah. But so the culmination of that was, I think it was 2 big Waaghs in a row. Billy fought Gaz and won.
Yes.
And won.
Literally
times.
Won in hand-to-hand combat.
Hand-to-hand combat. I'd make him charge in there.
Yes.
I'd whittle Gaz down to like his last,
of course,
and then charge Billy in there to be a hero. And 2 games in a row, it worked.
Yes.
So I was like, you know what? Yarick is pretty badass.
Yes,
and
it
my
is.
army needs a Yarick. But I don't really want to track down the Yarick model and do that. And I have a thing. The reason I chose Guard is I don't want named characters.
Right.
I like the fact that it's all the unnamed characters carrying the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Most of them dying. And
But carrying on the day.
but carrying the day nonetheless. Because somebody's got to do it, you know. Why not all the manufactory workers?
That's right.
Power to the people.
Something the proletariat. I don't know.
So
yeah. Something about the orcs and the proletariat.
So after Billy felled the foul beast Gaz
Twice, we promoted him to Yarick, honorary Yarick.
yes, and this is where he obtained.
This is where he obtained the Black Claw.
Yes.
The big Black Claw.
Yes.
And due to us actually having... Well, actually, you know what we forgot? Is somewhere along the line, the Death Watch bestowed him...
Yes.
The shotgun. The Death
This
Watch.
was
Yes.
this was one of his first upgrades.
Yes, I forgot about
as
this
a
one.
commander. Was the Death Watch upgraded him with a relic weapon,
The relic shotgun.
which
Shoddy Blasticus.
Shoticus Blasticus, Javelin Supreme.
Yes.
Which
I'm making upset Tom noises about that name.
Boomy Blasticus.
But what it is, it's a Death Watch shotgun.
Yes.
But I repainted the shells on top of it to look like bolter shells instead of shotgun shells. So I put little roundy tips on them.
Yeah, because Yarick has a storm bolter.
Yarick has a bolter. Well, originally I was running him as a platoon commander back then with a bolter.
Right.
And I was like, that's cool. Actually, I think in one of the games I had ran it as a shotgun just because I
Just to
wanted to see what
Yeah.
happened. And I think that's the game you gave it to me because you're like, I have a shotgun.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think he blasted something
Yeah,
with it and just like
100%.
murdered a knob or something with a shotgun.
Yeah, no, you were actually facing me. So it was Death Watch against Imperial Guard.
Yeah, and I
And we
blasted
were-
a Space Marine.
Yeah, and we were running it as a training simulation. I said,
Right.
You know what, Guardsman? If you best us today in this training simulation, we will bestow something on you.
Right.
But that's only if you best us.
Yeah, and we won that game.
And the Guard won.
that was that game.
Yes.
That was that game where I just
Yes.
busted
He
on
dunked on me.
dunked on
Pretty hard. All right, Kevin, moving on.
I've forgotten about that. But yeah, so we cut off Billy's hand.
Yep.
We painted up the shotgun a little bit and we stuck it back on so that he had a cool Space Marine
Badass Death Watch shotgun. Yeah.
And then
Now it's
he got promoted to actual Billy Yarick.
Yeah, now it's a semi-automatic or a fully automatic shotgun.
I just consider it a pump action
Yeah, storm bolter.
store. I just
So did Billy lose an arm fighting Gaz, and that's how we got the Black Claw? Or is it...
Yes.
Billy fought Gaz. I think Gaz did hit him back one time, and I think that's when we decided to go full claw. Is because he hit him back and got him down to his
I think he shot him because if he actually hit him, I think he would have one shot him.
I thought it was
because his claw does again dating, but his claw at the time did 4 damage.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, so I believe he shot because when you said he cleared all the guardsmen, he can shoot in close combat, so he shot all the guardsmen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and attacked Billy. Time. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I remember.
Billy's a badass. I remember.
Basically, Billy's a badass. That's what it comes down to.
Basically.
That's awesome.
So Billy, after that point, that's when the Rogue Trader was like, "All right, you have earned your place commanding my forces.
Mm-hmm.
You have essentially carte blanche as ground commander."
That's badass, man.
The Rogue Trader is still in charge of the flotilla and big picture things.
Right.
But Billy has been basically just promoted. So he's worked his way up and earned the favor of the Rogue Trader.
Are you implementing my Black Claw lore?
The Black Claw?
Yeah, are you gonna implement? Are you gonna?
Which one of the?
You're not. You don't remember? So the Black Claw. The Black Claw.
Oh, that one.
Are you?
Now I remember.
Is this appropriate for the podcast, or am I going to
Absolutely not. Absolutely
or am I going to have to censor you? Are you going to get us canceled?
Yeah,
we're
Imperial
canceled.
redacted.
No, all right. So the Black
Fucking
Claw.
Vanilla Ice's lawyers.
So the lore of the Black Claw was that this knob was so potent that everywhere he walked, because of this Black Claw, that was his name. His name was
trailed spores.
Yes, his name was Biggin Black Claw. Biggin. That was his name, Biggin. Biggin Black Claw, wherever he went, there was an abundance of spores and orcs
like walking
all over the place.
Like walking into a fraternity house and just realizing everything's covered in cum. Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It was overpopulation of orcs wherever he walked. He had
He's the most fertile of orcs.
Yes, extremely fertile. And this knob was struck down by Billy before Billy got to Gaz. And when Gaz blew Billy's squad apart and took a chunk out of Billy's face and blew his arm off, he's heard of the stories of old Yark. And he's like, you know what?
By Yark.
You know what? Yark isn't the only badass in this place. And he grabbed the claw, slammed it on his arm, and punched Gaz in the face with it. And yes. Well, the orcs saw it and they were like, I've heard of this.
He basically ashed him.
Yeah.
Evil Dead.
He jammed his nub.
Jammed the nub right into the hole that he took.
And it just connects.
And I mean, I'm pretty sure it was more just getting hit in the face with the claw.
Yeah, I think he just slapped him.
The claw actually functioning.
I'm obviously stretching the legend. He probably really just slapped. He probably just threw the black claw at Gaz's face and knocked him out. We don't know. But this is the story that's been told of Billy Blackclaw.
The legend of Billy.
And so, on this day where Billy imbued himself with the power of the black claw, the power of that black claw with the force of spreading the spore so abundantly, grew Billy's cock 10 times that day.
The Wa energy increases the fertility of the user.
And so it's like the Grinch, except instead of his heart, it was his cock, and it just grew. And now Billy's extremely fertile.
I was literally like, why is the Grinch factoring into this?
I don't know. This is just Mark running.
You've never heard of the Grinch's heart growing like 10 times?
Yeah, no. It was before you actually said the Grinch part. I'm like, why is Mark working the Grinch into this? It grew 3 times that day? What is Mark doing?
So, that is the legend of Billy Blackclaw, formerly known as Billy Badass.
Mm-hmm.
Now known as Billy Big Cock.
Bill of many names.
Yes. Billy of many names.
Wilhelm.
Yes.
Bilarius.
Yes. Belisarius.
I like Biliarius. Bilarius. Yeah,
Bilarius.
I like that one.
Feel free to cut any of this out if it's inappropriate.
Yeah, part of that probably. Part of that maybe a little.
Nah, keep it in.
But I'm definitely. I'm definitely keeping the fact that he got the black. I'm keeping the name the Black.
You're not gonna keep the fertility.
I mean, it's kind of hard when he doesn't have anything below the waist.
Hey.
If the orcs think that that's what happens, then the orcs think that's what happens. And orc fertility just means that the orcs think that Billy's dropping spores. It doesn't necessarily mean anything else.
How the hell do you think that it's connected to the waist, dude? What do you think connects? It's not his torso that's connected to it. It's like a fucking Lego.
Oh, you're saying that he sockets his cock into
exactly.
And it's like
and then it's like RoboCop. It like kind of it's how his gun like comes out of his leg. Yeah. It's Billy's cock comes out of the inside of his thumb.
Oh my good God, dude!
And it just flapping right there.
Sorry, it's a little graphic
with the sound of like wet chicken hitting a steel table.
Ah, Jesus! So there's definitely a lot of different ways that you can build lore.
Please cut that out.
No, that's staying in. So I'm going to try to redirect us, but that's staying in.
Okay.
So there's different ways to build lore, and you've done a couple of interesting things here. One, obviously, you're building it as you play, and you're modifying a character as it goes on. And I'm sure you're probably doing it with other characters. And
I'm going to start, I think, keeping track of some of the tanks.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because one of the tanks now has Icbard's curse painted on the barrel because it Icbard's curses things.
Yeah, the first that's actually a really good one. That's a good segue out to the next part. So my next one would be Icbard's curse, the basilisk, which
the badassilisk.
Yeah, the badassilisk. That one was based off of, was that our first stream?
Yeah.
Yep.
Our first ever stream. We had a viewer.
It wasn't our first ever stream. It was our first successful and for more than a couple of minutes without technology failing
our first actual stream. Yeah. Not like we started it, failed 5 minutes in, 40.
And gave up.
In this, people wanted to donate money to watch things explode.
Yep. So there was just this basilisk that just auto exploded anything that it killed.
They just kept throwing money at us to watch things explode. So
yeah. And you know who was on the receiving end of Icbard's curse?
You and me.
These fucking guys.
Both of you guys. Tom a little bit too, but
everybody was blowing up that day because of this damn badassilisk.
Is
my basilisk? Well, I mean, he bought it, but I still get incensed and go, my basilisk.
The basilisk formerly known as Ryan's.
Yes.
So just out of curiosity, is it the one that I kit bashed where it's actually the guy's pulling a 45 slug out of the breach? Or is
it's the other one.
Okay.
I wanted to, this is the one I painted first. The one that was more kit bashed. I wanted to take my time and paint better. So
it looks cool. And
I mean, I speed painted this one and it came out really nice.
Oh,
the camo net on the back is a fun little addition.
Touch.
That's the other thing. Building Imperial Guard models lets you do cool little kit bashy stuff like that on there. So that's one of the things. Like I've been adding to vehicles. I've been adding on backpacks as they campaign on and things like that. I think I might do a little bit of battle damage on them now that we've been in field for some time.
Yeah, hell yeah. Dude.
Putting rounds down range.
Yeah,
baby.
A little bit of battle damage, things like that should go on the vehicles. The other thing I have is I do have the knights, and we deviated off of what else I had them in for.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought this all the way down to how would each unit function within a force on long expedition.
Right.
So in my headcanon, the knights are actually there as, yes, battlefield support and things like that, but they're also there as a power lifter.
Right. They've got a utility job to do as well.
Yeah, so I have 2 of the warglaves, which have the little thermal cannon and a chainsaw. So when I painted them as similar to my Imperial Guard, tans and greens, but I gave them brass embellishments and things like that to show that they are special. But I painted up the chain blade on their arm with caution stripes.
Oh yeah,
like full on utility.
Love it.
Yellow and black caution stripes going up and down the blade. And then I did that both sides of the blade, things like that. And then I've got my bigger knights, and I'm thinking of doing similar things on them as well. And the idea is that as the troops and tanks and everything are moving through, this is untouched ground. Most people in their life have never driven a vehicle on ground that hasn't been plowed, graded. There's no roads.
Right.
On these planets, there's no roads. There is nowhere to drive. One of the biggest faults with tanks is that they require roads.
Right.
Tanks do all right on dirt, but they really excel on dirt roads where it has still been
compacted and actual roadways organized. I mean, what is it? There's a whole team of people in every army design. They're dedicated to
Army
mapping bridges for tanks.
Yeah.
Every army on the planet has a specific group of people that their whole job is to make sure that they map out bridges for tank movements.
Right.
That was a huge thing in the current Middle Eastern conflict, or previous Middle Eastern, I guess. Now it's previous Middle Eastern conflicts that the Americans had to do. Abrams is heavy. Bridges in the Middle East aren't very good.
They aren't very common.
They're not very big. So they couldn't drive tanks across half the bridges in Iraq. It's just a fact. So things like that you have to think of when you're kind of thinking, oh, well, how would this force operate?
Yeah, in a forest.
Well, you know how it would operate. It would chop the trees down and keep going.
Yep.
Yeah.
Create a firing lane.
Yeah. And it's kind of like I took the idea of like the bushwhacking through the jungle, we've all seen it. The movies got the machete and clearing the bushes and all that shit.
This is Armiger clearing trees.
How does Warhammer clear trees in the jungle?
Giant
with an Imperial
chainsaw.
Knight with a chainsaw bigger than the tree.
Exactly.
That's how.
Cutting down trees. And then I specifically got one of the knights with a big claw for a hand, because I felt that the claw is actually better suited to that. Oh, chop down a tree,
Grab it, move it away.
Or grab a rock and pull it out of
grab
the
a
road.
boulder, move it, whatever, wreckage on
or a thermal cannon. Just
well, and that's the other thing is then they've all got their ranged weapons, which also can function as a land clearing device should that be necessary.
Right.
So it's kind of that
you got a problem over here, you point it over there, you ain't got a problem over here no more.
It took that forest 10,000 years to grow. I clear it in 10, 12 seconds.
It's a good day.
That's an Atlantis joke, if anybody's seen that movie. Yeah, you remember that one?
Yeah, Milo.
You remember, right?
Yeah, Milo.
He's counting the TNT.
Yeah.
And then I got...
yeah. But actually, that movie, now that actually got brought up, that is one of the movies that I used as kind of inspiration.
Okay.
Their little convoy of vehicles. Like before it all got blown up.
Yeah.
But their little convoy of vehicles going down into this
gnarly,
crazy place that they don't even know what's down there, but they're going to bring a vehicle for everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they've got a food
take
truck.
Your entire...
They've got, and then if you notice, it was being led by the giant drill truck.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm putting the knights in.
I like that.
And I'm using things that I've seen as inspiration a lot of time. That concept of that expeditionary force, conquistadoring out, doing all that stuff. And so I've worked that into each step of it.
Yeah. So I know you have a Baneblade in this army.
Yes, and we recently lured that in
with
our little mini campaign test that we did there.
Yes, we did.
Oh, that's right. They went after an STC that was printing a Baneblade, right?
We found the STC and it had been damaged to a point where it could only finish what it had been last started printing, which had been a Baneblade in defense for this Imperial Forge world or whatever it happened to be. Honestly, the world was so destroyed that it was hard to tell what the world was for originally, but there were humanity ruined, so it was human at one point, pre-Imperial most likely, possibly Orc invaded after. We didn't really stick around long enough to find out. We did stick around long enough to print the Baneblade, because one does not leave an STC for the Orcs. No. Most definitely not.
Especially not a Baneblade.
Not a Baneblade. That's a big battle wagon.
That's a big one.
That's a big old battle wagon.
Yeah, that is the holy grail of the Inquisition, STCs. The Mechanicus, and Rogue Traders alike is STCs.
STCs, and that is how and things like that, being able to find rogue, being able to go out past the borders of the Imperium, find these things, explains how I can, make deals with the Mechanicum to get knights and this thing is with this, I'm pretty clever at rewording some things on the fly. So if I needed to make it a free blade, we just reword it because free blades are just out and about doing things. Mm-hmm. So found a free blade. The free blade decided because it was useful that it then didn't have to go looking for a use. Basically would stay as long as it was useful.
Right.
And the Rogue Trader keeps putting it to work. All right.
Well, keep I got a place for you.
And as long as it has a use, it'll stick around, kind of thing.
Well,
that's how I could work in a free blade.
And at a certain point, is it really a free blade anymore, or is it was a free blade and now it's
a free blade and now it's just a long-term partner? Yeah.
And that's what I had ended up doing. And that's a very good point for lore building, and that's something that I ended up doing. We haven't talked about my night house in depth yet, but that's something that I did with my night houses. My knights were all free blades that were sent on tasks of repentance.
Redemption.
I've got a redemption. They were sent on redemption quests. They were basically told,
fight until you die.
Come back redeemed or come back on your shield. Those are your options. Mm-hmm. And they were given shitty knights. They were given malfunctioning knights, and they were sent out to do, and they just happened to succeed and redeem themselves. And now it doesn't make, because all those people are dead, and it's their,
and they're like,
greats. And now it's a house. So if I wanted to play it, if we were to run an old game, if we were to do a Heresy era game, or not even a Heresy era game, but if we were to do a game set in 8th edition, I could run them as free blades. But if I'm going to run them now, I can run them now. And that's important. That's an important trick that you can work into lore, which is good. Very smart. That was what I was looking for. That's smart. It's a smart way to play with lore.
Fun. interesting.
Yeah. It gives you a lot of options. It doesn't link you to, I have to play my army a specific way.
Right. Like we know some people, and in one of those guys plays a Space Marine army. He plays the Imperial Fists, actually the guy that was playing in the game we got the STC from. But he plays specifically like the Imperial Fists.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Chuck loves his Imperial Fists.
And he has first company, second company, and they are locked in. But that means if they ever change the lore, his army essentially has to change with it.
Right.
Whereas we're finding ways to creatively
be malleable.
Because we're not sticking to Games Workshop's lore, we can write in the flexibilities.
Right.
And you can do that with any army as long as you know kind of the nuanced line.
Right.
There's a line where you kind of have to dance around before you've committed to too many hard things in the universe.
Or you just don't use anything named. You use concepts and you never do anything.
Use concepts, And that's kind of the nuance line, is knowing where
to have custom traits
go into attaching to real lore.
So what's your force called? Do they have a name? Or you're still working on name stuff, and you're obviously still working on some of the connections with Rouge Traders. So when after we've covered Rouge Traders stuff, we'll probably have an updated lore episode, I'd imagine.
Yeah, just like we plan to do with House Byzantine and whatnot.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we're only 3 episodes into probably 6 episodes of Scarred World stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
So, is there anything that you want to add, Kevin?
I mean, so far the name has kind of been developing since it doesn't really have numbers.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be the Expeditionary Force of the 784th Expedition. So I'm using as each time the fleet leaves, they up the number.
Oh, okay.
And so this flotilla has been essentially operating for 714 journeys.
Yeah.
Or 784 journeys.
Yeah.
That's badass, man.
Yeah. So, things like that. And so I've tried to borrow from the Imperial Guard. Every time they raise a regiment, the number goes up. Well, they're not raising regiments, but they do raise a fleet, go try to make money. It's like a caravan. You raise a caravan, you send the caravan.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, and you also have
you're also rescuing new Imperial
pulling
forces.
guardsmen in on the way, things like that.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll scratch out their regiment and maybe put in the, what was their favorite expeditionary force or something, or
and it also means that members who've served long enough
have a lower number or something like that.
Have lower numbers, and so that's oh, that dude's been here.
Do they wear?
He's been through some shit.
Do they wear campaign badges on their arms or whatever? Is there any cultural stuff that you've thought of? They get all their expeditions tattooed down their arms or anything like that?
I've started to develop some of that. I haven't gotten very much farther than the officers like their fancy feather hats kind of thing. I think it's more the officers would be privileged enough to, because you got to remember, it's the low ranks are still low ranks.
Yeah,
they're still expected to be following all those normal.
What you could do, because I believe most of your guys do have sleeves, and if they don't have sleeves, you can have them tatted on. But they could have service marks, service stripes,
stripes.
Yeah, service stripes or
stripes or something.
Well, service stripes is how long they've been in the service of.
That works.
Yeah,
I was thinking of
expedition kind of
is a hash mark. Yeah,
you guys have seen the movie Soldier with Kurt Russell, right?
I have not.
There's a sci-fi movie called Soldier that Kurt Russell is in, and basically the whole idea is that they come out with a better super soldier, and he is obsoleted. And he's thrown away on a trash planet. It's a very 40K movie. If we do when we do our next movie episode, I'll bring it up in more depth.
Nice.
He's got a chevron, and the chevron's hollow, and it has the battle name tattooed inside of it, and he has them all down his arm. So he has all of these campaign badges essentially tattooed on his arm. And it's part of the system identifying how many. It's not a personal cultural thing. It's a serial number. Almost. Yes, it's the Magos essentially going, how many battles have you been in? Oh, you have been in 17 functional battles. You can go to this 18th. It's that idea of combat. It's also a cultural thing because a lot of soldiers get tattoos based on places they've been to. Historically,
let's all get cut together.
Yeah. Well, and I'm thinking like more back to the pirate days. Like sailors got tattoos all the time.
Sailors just tatted each other up for bullshit reasons.
Yeah,
they're bored. But also as like, oh, you did that cool thing. Let's fucking commemorate that shit. Yeah. I was thinking about that a little bit, trying to work that in. And it also, part of it depends on which culture I finally decide on.
Right.
And it's going to be a mix of multiple, like I said, it's Spanish, Portuguese, merchant class conquistadors. Or we have the Dutch, English, French merchant marines. We could even go, into some others. There's plenty of interesting merchant classes that have existed throughout
100%.
history to pick from.
Yeah.
Also, there's a lot of historical lore to pull from. I could pull all kinds of events and slot them in somehow.
No, dude, I like what you're doing.
Also, within my Rogue Trader house, like we said, we have Billy with leading all of the ground forces as the de facto ground force representative of the fleet leader. But we also do have the house guard for the Rogue Trader herself, which I run as Scions. And so those Scions that's why they have better armor, better weapons, and that's why I generally deploy them out of Deep Strike, things like that, is to represent the Rogue Trader
better trained.
Being like, oh, let's send some of my best to help.
Shock troops.
Yeah, because Billy's on the ground, Billy's doing his thing, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, Billy's on the ground doing his thing, and they're watching from orbit.
Right.
And they're like, just sprinkle some seasoning over there, help Billy out a little bit. And so that's why, as I finally decide on which culture, I'll do a head swap or something with those guys to make them fit culturally with whatever I choose.
Yeah.
To make them fit with the house rather than the guard.
Yeah, I like that.
So the guard will maintain this like ad hoc
military look.
But the Scions will have the Scions will match the Rogue Traders
colors and culture and stuff like that.
And your Rogue Trader doesn't mind, obviously, if her mixed forces keep their independent cultures. So, like,
right, because
this fire team might be Cadian forever, and this fire team might be Steel Legion forever. They work together, but they keep their own equipment, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They keep their own individuality, but they are retrained to work as a cohesive force, which is why they all operate with the same doctrine on the table.
Do you do anything as far as like they all wear an armband that marks them out, or they all have red trim or something that links them back?
Not yet. As I get more kits of varying models, like I have a kit of Steel Legion troopers. I have a bunch of Cadians. If I get a squad of Catachan guys, then I'll definitely, keep them as Catachans. Do stuff like that. As it stands right now, all my Cadian guys are mostly just painted by squad.
Mm-hmm.
So they've color marked their shoulder pauldrons for their squad markings. Okay. Officers get a gold bar on their pauldrons. Normal infantry is just color because they're not important enough to know their rank. If as long as you don't have gold, then it doesn't matter what you say.
Fair.
Real experience.
Almost.
Pretty much, yeah. Cool. And then, like, I have niche personnel specialist. I have a medic. Medic guy has got his pauldron all done up. That's really what they do, is their left pauldron kind of represents their position within the force overall, but less as like a cultural thing, more as just a generic organizational.
Yeah, I think if you did something like kind of like what I was saying with service stripes, that could probably tie them all together. Like all of them have like a red hash on their forearm for how many little crusades they've been in.
Or like the trim on their uniforms is all like deep crimson because the Rogue Trader. I don't even know your Rogue Trader's house colors, but the Rogue Trader's house colors are crimson, and they're crimson and gold, right?
It's crimson, like the bronze gold.
Yeah, just little.
Yeah, that's most of it's just
like
those
that.
two.
You and that would just be what I would do, or like again, like the bottom hem, like because the Cadians have that like bottom hem.
Yeah, they do. They have that little pleat line around their jacket. I could just do up in the Rogue Trader color line. To unite the. That's a good idea. I like that.
It's always cool to play with stuff like that.
Bloodstripe is cool. I like Bloodstripe. I could even do it like Han Solo's version, the Corellian Bloodstripe, which is a series of stripes.
I like
rather
that.
than a solid line.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that'd be cool. Yeah, his is a bunch of small lines.
I like that.
That's neat, man. It definitely gives a lot of options. It's also interesting to hear how you're doing it, because I'm developing the Warhounds of Karnas right now and how I want to like unify them, and a lot of it's going to be the same, because like obviously saying this entire Cadian force fell at once is easy because Cadians are the easiest thing to buy, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense for like a Chaos Trader army.
Right.
So
are you head swapping?
I currently just have 2 sets of the Blackstone Fortress Trader Guard.
Heretics. Okay.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix the Beasts of Chaos start collecting set and the Cadian start collecting set. So
you kind of get Beastmen-y.
I'm going to have a bunch of Beastmen in it. The only thing I've actually full on decided on, and I dropped it in the Discord already, and it's Tom's fault, is the linchpin in the fall of this entire like army was an Imperial Admiral, and he is known as the Blade or the Maimed. He's Captain Hook, essentially. So,
hell yeah.
I like that.
That's good, though, because it works. You can use it in conjunction against the Knights. I like it. That's good.
Into the Crusade. So that's just what I'm playing with. But I've been thinking about, like, obviously the same idea. Like, you've inspired me of, like, pulling little guys from here, pulling little guys from there, but wanting to have a so Marshall is one of the guys in our Discord is doing a very like old school mutant army, which is fucking dope. But I want to do that more like Blood Pact army. So I'm trying to figure out like how do they all look different but all function the same. So it's cool to hear what you've done, because I literally have no ideas other than Captain Hook.
Yeah, a fun way if you really like tying it to other things, Captain Hook could be Uncle Twice Removed from my Rogue Trader family.
I would not,
because he realized he wasn't getting anywhere like within the family.
Yeah,
that like that's his alter ego. Like is this captain, that rogue captain, gone to chaos?
Hell yeah, man! I love.
Nobody in my family knows it's the same guy.
It's funny because
that's got to be like the best part about it.
I have a model that I feel like would work as a good character for this uncle. He came from the Blackstone Fortress box. I'll show him to you.
Oh, is it the Rogue Trader from that one?
I think so.
Big sword?
It's no. It's he's like a big fat guy with like a fire belly or something like that. But he looks chaosy. I'll show you.
Okay.
It's the I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I'm trying to. That's what I'm trying to figure out now. Is what I would do for the Captain Hook. I think we talked about it a long time ago. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, but when I was in art school, I did Captain Hook and the Lost Boys as like updated them to like cyberpunky stuff and did a bunch of like
that's cool.
Spacey crap. So
yeah.
Tom mentioned it twice in a row, and it put the brainworm deep enough into me that I'm
once
playing
it gets in there, it's stuck.
I'm not gonna do the outright they call him Captain Hook. His name is like Captain Forum, which is like it's an old word for iron, but it's gonna be obvious. One of his arms is gonna be a chain. I'm gonna do a chain blade replacement arm and do some Mechanicus stuff where it looks like he was fucking ripped apart and rebuilt.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
But yeah, anyway,
guard stuff is good for no, it's good. But that's the thing is guard stuff that's what it is. It's all about building your backstory. That's one of the reasons like guard players are guard players is building these cool ideas of regiments and things like that. Yeah.
We'll be back with more of Kevin's lore as it gets developed. We'll definitely talk. We're gonna get into Rogue Traders at some point, probably here. Maybe season 2. I'm not sure if we'll get quite there yet. We've got a lot of stuff to cover. And I know that we've got Gene Stealer cults coming up, and we definitely have Mechanicus and Space Marines
coming up.
Where's
my
things.
Pants? I think they're already here.
Where my jeans at?
Where are my pants?
Goddamn Wrangler snatches.
Wrangler snatches.
Why is my throat sore? Why are my jeans gone?
So yeah, we're definitely gonna be back with more of this stuff when we get, Mechanicum, we'll tie in Rogue Trader. Mm-hmm. We love hearing your guys' lore. We want you to keep sharing it with us. This is our Tales from the Hive segment. I almost said Tales from the Warp. Our Tales from the Hive segment, which we try to do about once a month. We trade off featuring either some of our lore, some of your guys' lore. Again, it's just to kind of give you guys an idea of the creative writing process in its
raw stage.
Yeah, in its raw stages. And there's definitely a lot of really good tips if you kind of dissect the way that Kevin did stuff. He's basing a lot on games that have been played and what he's wanted to play with as far as all of that. And then, one of the things that Kevin was super upfront about at the beginning of the episode and has mentioned a couple of times during, he's not set on names, and that's totally cool. You can play around with names when they come to you, or, Billy jumps off the page and you've got a name right there.
Yeah. Well, like literally the name Billy came up because they're like, hey, we need a name for like an important character to be up in the middle.
Billy. Yeah.
And I was like, just name him Billy. And then we decided that Billy wasn't actually that guy's name, that Billy was the name of the guy going out to get the friend.
Yeah.
We just left him his friend. We decided that we liked it better naming it after the guy that was going out there, not the guy that was already dead.
Yeah. You should retroactively name the guy that's dead though, and
Goose.
Work that into Goose.
Goose.
His name's Goose.
Yeah, Goose.
Work that into
done.
There you go.
The friend's name's Goose.
Done.
Goose. No.
Goose.
Work that into the backstory. Yeah, guys, if you got some lore that you'd like us to share on the podcast, send it our way. We will feature you in an upcoming Tales from the Hive episode. Also, we want your ghost stories. We want your cryptid experiences. And if you have questions or comments about the podcast, feel free to send them to us. You can get this to us by email at underthehiveofmadness@gmail.com or jimdarkgaming@gmail.com. You can also join us and become pretty active in our Discord community. We have a bunch of different channels for talking about things like hobby progress, official lore, homebrew lore, tactics, and how to play the game. We have an RC channel. We've got several video game channels. We pretty much just have a lot of collected things that are either tangential or directly connected to the 40K universe that we talk about. Also, for those of you who are super into writing lore, specifically, you may notice that there's been a couple of additional lore channels added to the Hive project. One of our longtime Patreons, Chalk, has started to help us expand the Carcosan subsector quite a bit with his own worlds. So we gave him a channel that he can dedicate to developing his worlds, which I believe he calls the Hyperion worlds. That's something that we are totally willing to do. If you want to help us develop some of this lore that either is directly linked to the Hive itself or is linked to the area that the Hive works in and the role-playing system that we're developing, talk to us. Let us know, and we'll definitely work with you. We love to see all of these different types of ideas. And at the end of the day, that's a lot of our focus is on this creative writing and this lore building experience, this world building experience. You can also find us around the internet. We are active on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Our website has also been up for a couple of weeks. It's still being kind of worked on and developed. I need to do little things like get headshots of all of the hosts so you can see what we look like rather than the generic stock photos of some band that are currently there. But we also have started to put up some of our models. We're starting to do a lot of different things as far as some of the community projects that have been worked on. Some of the community, we're well into our fourth painting contest is just starting. So we've got 3 past painting contests with some models that have won from members of our community. And we're starting to work a lot with the members of our community to share their stuff out as well. If you're interested in getting involved at that level where you're a lot more connected to what we're doing and how the podcast develops, you can check out our Patreon, which is patreon.com/underthehiveofmadness. That gets you into our painting contest immediately. It also gets you access to video podcasts, which are exactly what you just heard, except there's a little bit extra content at the beginning. And I've started to do some pictures and slides and stuff that are related to what we're talking about. So if you've never seen what a Jacaro looks like, you're going to see what a Jacaro looks like, for instance, this time. If you're not really sure what Rogue Traders look like, I grabbed a couple of Rogue Trader images. It's just a little bit extra, something that we do for you guys. There's a lot of other stuff that we are starting to expand into Patreon. And we've got some ideas of where we want to go in the future, including working with you guys on brainstorming and developing your own lore. So if you're interested in any of that stuff, that's the place to connect with us. Guys, did I leave anything out in general, or are we...
How many times did you say Linktree yet?
I have not said Linktree at all, actually. I just said we do have a Linktree, but that is a good point, as Kevin just mentioned. Generally, I drop all of the important links and the spellings in the show notes, so they're super easy to get to. Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Just to wrap us up, you want to know how easy it is to come up with lore tidbits for your army? I came up with one just now. Commissars renamed Taskmasters.
I like it.
Bam. Look at that.
Well, sports fans, there is definitely blood all over this arena as the Ice Fox continues to earn her brutal reputation, with the Mastiffs taking home their first win of the season. Not only their first win of the season, but the first win of the season overall. Petra has also added another marker to her kill count. Alexi and the Falcons are in a bad place right now, with Ivor Ironjaw Cordish earning a spot or splatter on the back wall and permanently finding himself added off the roster. With that brutal 3-story drop kill, you've got to wonder how much bad blood was there between the beautiful and deadly Petra and the recently created statistic that used to be the Falcons' only Ogren player.
Poor guy.
Keep tuning in to Vox Free Innsmouth for all of your murder ball needs, and find us at the same rat place, same ratty channel, 665.66 UHM Chemrat Radio. Always remember, a healthy dose of paranoia goes a long way in the Underhive. It's not always a faulty air recycler on the back of your neck. Sometimes it's a 4-armed emperor breathing directly down your collarbones.
Read that in a motherfucking book.